Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo, bolo, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare. Hey, bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. E bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. E bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Bolo Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey Bola Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare Hey Bola Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare Bola Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare Haribo, Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, 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 Nita Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, Haribo, Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Haribo, Nita Gora Premanandi Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Shri Radha Nilamadhava Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Tonight, we are going to hear from the book, The Science of Self-Realization, and it is the chapter, Returning to the Eternal Religion. It's a very interesting subject, returning to the eternal religion. Well, the eternal religion is Krishna consciousness. That's what was practiced from the earliest times and is still being practiced today. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna's, let's say, Krishna has been Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai. Okay, so in this part of the book I'm going to read, it says, animals are satisfied if they can eat, sleep, have some sex life, and have some defense. Actually, there is no defense because no one can protect himself or herself from the hands of cruel death. Hiranyakashipu, for instance. Hiranyakashipu was a demon, right? The father of Prahlad Maharaj. Hiranyakashipu, for instance, wanted to live forever, and so he underwent severe austerities. So-called scientists are now saying that we shall stop death by scientific methods. This is also another crazy utterance. That's a fact. You have so many crazy people saying, oh, in 2050, death will be... it'll be optional. if you want to die, you can die. If you don't want to die, you can continue living forever. Nonsense. Okay. So, animals are satisfied if they can eat, sleep, have some sex life, and have some defense. Actually, there is no defense because no one can protect himself from the hands of cruel death. Hiranyakashipu, for instance, wanted to live forever, and so he underwent severe austerities. So-called scientists are now saying that we shall stop death by scientific methods. This is also another crazy utterance. That is possible, just to take a tablet to put an end to disease. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Janma Mityu Chara Vyadi Dukkha Dosana Darshanam. One might think that he has solved all the problems of his life, but where is the solution to these 4 problems of birth, death, old age, and disease? That solution is Krishna consciousness. Krishna also says in the same book, in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyakvadeham punarjanma naitimam eti swarjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Every one of us is giving up our body every one of us is giving up our body at every moment. The last phase of giving up this body is called death. But Krishna says, if anyone understands my appearance and disappearance and my activities, not superficial, but in truth, after giving up this body, he or she never again accepts a material body. In other words, one goes back to the spiritual world. If we can understand Krishna, and it's not difficult to understand Krishna because there's so much information about him, and remember Krishna at the moment of death, we go back to the spiritual world. What happens to such a person? Mam eti, it's a Sanskrit statement, he returns to Krishna. Wait a second. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows everything that we think and we desire and we do. So therefore, no one is greater than Krishna, and no one is capable of emulating Krishna. Therefore, it says here, let me see, okay. After all, to give up one's life completely for serving the Lord is not an easy thing. And Maya, or the illusory nature, or the illusory material energy, tries especially hard to again entrap us who have left her service to become devotees. Therefore, in order to withstand the attack of Maya and remain strong under all conditions of temptation, young or inexperienced devotees in the neophyte stage of devotional service will sometimes adopt an attitude against those things or persons which may possibly be harmful or threatening to their tender devotional creepers. They may even overindulge in such feelings just as to protect themselves, and thus they will appear to some non-devotees who are perhaps themselves still very much one second, let me take my glasses off. So it says here, Uh, Therefore, in order to understand the attack of Maya and remain strong under all conditions of temptation, young or inexperienced devotees in the neophyte stage of devotional service will sometimes adopt an attitude against those things or persons which may possibly be harmful or threatening to their tender devotional creepers. They may even overindulge in such feelings as to protect themselves, and thus they will appear to some non devotees who are perhaps themselves still very much enamored by the material energy of Maya to be negative or pessimistic. But the actual fact is that this material world is a miserable, negative place, full of danger at every step. It is dukhalayam asasvatam, a temporary abode of death, birth, disease, and old age, a home of suffering and pain only. To come to the platform of understanding these things as they are is not very common, and therefore persons who attain to it are described as great souls. Mam upetya punarjanma dukhalayam asasvatam na punuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. This means that those who have understood that the material worlds are places of misery and temporality, dukhalayam asasvatam, never return here again, and because they are mahatmana, the great souls, Krishna keeps them with him because they have qualified themselves to escape this nasty place by becoming his pure devotees. This verse is spoken by Krishna or God himself in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 15th verse. Who can be a more final authority? The point is that to make advancement in spiritual life, one must view everything materially with a pessimistic eye unless it is utilized to serve and please Krishna. We are not very much hopeful for any lasting pleasure or satisfaction for our deepest cravings within this realm of gross matter. You refer to the word love several times in your letter, but the actual fact is that there is no love in this material world. There is false propaganda. What they call love here is lust only, or desire for personal sense gratification. Kama esa, krodha esa, rajaguna samudbhava, mahasamo, mahapapma, vidi enam, iha vairinam. Krishna tells Arjuna, his disciple, that it is lust only, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. And this is from the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 37th verse. In the Vedic language, there is no word for materialistic love, as we call it in the present day. The word kama describes lust or material desire, not love. But the word that we find in the Vedas for actual love is prema, meaning one's love for God only. Outside of loving God, there is no possibility of loving. Rather, there is lusty desire only. Within this atmosphere of matter, the entire range of human activities, and not only every activity of human beings, but also all living entities, is based upon given impetus by, and thus polluted by sex desire, the attraction being male and female. For that sex life, the whole universe is spinning around and suffering. Thus, that is the harsh truth. So-called love here means that you gratify my senses, I'll gratify your senses. And as soon as that gratification stops, immediately there is divorce, separation, quarrel, and hatred. So many things are going on under this false conception of love. Actual love means love of God, Krishna. Everyone wants to repose his loving tendency in some object which is, in his opinion, worthy. But the question is one of ignoring at last to Krishna and going back to our original nature of eternal life and in bliss and complete knowledge. Therefore, it is to the credit of those devotees that they have done what is sudurlabha, very rare among all men in human society. By surrendering to Krishna, one will find the final object in which to invest his or her love. Love of God is present in everyone, just like fire in an unlit match, but it is covered over. But if one somehow or other develops his dormant love of God, and Krishna becomes his supreme adorable object, supreme friend, supreme master, or supreme lover, then he or she shall never again become disappointed or unhappy. Rather, because of his or her loving propensity, is rightfully placed. Matchita matgata prana, bodhyantak parasparam, katayantas chamam nityam, tusyanticha ramanticha. The devotee whose life is surrendered to Krishna is always enjoying great satisfaction and bliss, and he is constantly enlightened, always positive, not negative. The advanced devotee is the friend of everyone. The yoga yukta visuddhatma, purified soul, engaged in loving devotional service to Krishna, is sarva bhutanam bhutatma, dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. In another place, Krishna claims that yo mad bhakta same priya, his devotee, who is very dear to him, advesta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha, is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities. The devotee is supposed to be, furthermore, equal to everyone, pandita samadarshina. He never discriminates, saying this one is good, this one is bad. No, these are descriptions of the more advanced stages of Krishna consciousness that devotees get by development of mature knowledge. At present, many of our students, our young boys and girls, they are learning gradually, and the process is so effective, certain, and authorized that if they stick to it, they will come to the right point, as you say, of loving. But that love is not material, so it should not be judged on the false, sentimental platform of ordinary, mundane dealings. That is our point. Therefore, to say that they are not loving may be true from the materialistic point of view. They have given up attraction for family, friends, wife, country, race, and so on, which is all based upon the bodily concept of life, or flickering sense gratification. The devotee has become a little detached from Maya's so-called love or lust, and they want, and the devotees want Krishna's love, or endless love, fully rewarding and full of genuine love. But this is something that is developing gradually. We cannot expect that all of a sudden your countrymen who are addicted to so many bad habits will give up eating flesh, taking intoxicants, having illicit sex life, and so many other nasty things overnight and become great self-realized souls. That is not possible. That is utopian. But just being initiated as Krishna's devotee puts one in the topmost category of human society. Sa buddhi mam manusyesu sa yukta Krishna karma krit. He is intelligent in human society. He is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. And although such a devotee may not yet have advanced to the highest level of spiritual understanding, still he is to be considered the most exalted personality, regardless of any temporary frailties. Apichet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. Even if a devotee commits the most abominable actions, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. As one may say, to err is human. Therefore, in the neophyte stage, we may always expect some discrepancies. Kindly see the thing in this light and forgive small mistakes. The big thing is that one is endeavoring to become purified by practicing Krishna consciousness in a regulated way and in the association of genuine devotees. Then there will be tangible spiritual advancement. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So the attempt to have a genuine spiritual life is not difficult if we follow the simple rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness. So, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication, always chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Always eating only Krishna prasadam, and always hearing lectures given by genuine devotees, and always regularly coming to the temple, and also going out on Harinam Sankirtan and chanting the holy names of the Lord in public. So by these simple activities, one can become purified of all lust, anger, greed, and illusion, and take up a serious, let's say, endeavor of helping many other people become Krishna conscious. We were all originally with Krishna, but because of our limited free will, we chose to walk away from Krishna, and Krishna gives us that opportunity. Just like if you if you have a child and the child is always misbehaving, at a certain point, there's nothing you can do, and you let the child do what he wants or she wants. However, after being in the material world and going through a lot of stress and difficulties, eventually the young child, or the young, not baby, but a young man or woman will realize that the material world is full of misery, and they'll come back to their senses and realize that they should be engaged in Krishna's service. Why? Because Krishna promises that his devotee will always be protected. So, therefore, we should not be fooled by the glitter of materialistic life. Materialistic life is actually a very dangerous predicament where people are killing animals and eating them. They're engaging in so many sinful activities, considering them to be regular activities in life. So in the association of devotees, we give up all sinful activities and engage in the service of Krishna with love and devotion. And we try and share that love and devotion with everyone we encounter. that is the warmth of spiritual life. It warms your heart. It makes you feel as if you are loved by Krishna and Krishna's devotees. So we should share that love with others so that people who are suffering have a chance to overcome their bad habits, and the more that they get rid of their bad habits, the more they become happy and have a faith that they can be happy the rest of their life by giving up meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, and taking up Krishna consciousness seriously, always chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and also eating only Krishna Prasadam, and also hearing lectures given by genuine devotees, and also helping others to become Krishna conscious. Okay, I'll stop right there. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask? It's very good to ask a question because then you learn something. If you don't ask a question, you don't learn anything. So are there anybody that would like to ask a question? Don't be afraid, because the whole Bhagavad Gita is questions and answers. Arjuna is asking Krishna so many questions, and Krishna is answering him. So any questions anybody has? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare. Okay, ask a question, Prabhu. You have the microphone? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Here comes the microphone, Hari Bol. Okay, what is your question, Prabhu?
So I have a question, One of my friend, his father recently passed away.
Yeah.
He has been devotional until the demise of his father. Now he started hating God.
Hating God. Yeah.
So how should we help this soul?
Well, you see, that's a person who does not understand who God is and does not understand how to connect to God. So, because his father died, maybe he was praying to God, please spare my father, don't let him die, etc. But his father died. So now he's blaming everything on Krishna. He's hating God, see? That's a real big mistake. Why? Everybody's going to die. It's not every day people are dying, right? However, if you become Krishna conscious, this will be the last time you will die. You'll go back to the spiritual world if you're Krishna conscious. He doesn't understand that. And most people today, I mean, frankly speaking, most people today think you only live once, and when you die, there's nothing. Those 2 points are false. But if you believe those two things, you become an atheist. And you will not be interested at all in God, because you think, or people who think like that, they think that when you die, there's nothing, everything's finished. But no, that's because they haven't been educated properly. You can never really die. You have an eternal soul. And that soul is related to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The only thing that dies is the temporary body, but your soul is eternal. All these things are not being taught to children, and all these things are not understood by many, many people. Even adults don't understand these things. And therefore, when some relative of theirs dies, they become upset and they blame God. So, actually, death is something that is not experienced. When you're a devotee, you don't experience death. You experience loving devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you engage in devotional service to help others and to help yourself and to help others. Therefore, death is not something that is horrible. Why? For a devotee, the moment of death is the best moment because they have led a life of Krishna consciousness, and at the moment of death, they're going to remember Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. You see how people who are not Krishna conscious, for them, death is the worst thing. But for a devotee, the moment of death is the best moment because that's when they're going to see Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. Because in their whole life, they've been practicing Krishna consciousness. So they're not afraid of death. They know what's going to happen to them when they die. They're going to go back to the spiritual world with Krishna and all the liberated souls. So here we see how much ignorance there is in the world today. People think that when you die, there's nothing. That's not true. You cannot really die because you have an eternal soul. People think that they will, Hare Krishna, that they are fooled by doctors and so-called pundits that eventually science will find out how to make you immortal in this material body. That's impossible, you see. So, to come to reality, we have to understand that the soul is eternal, the body is temporary. The soul is going to get old, get sick, and die. But your soul is never going to get old and sick and die. It's eternal, right? So actually for a devotee, the moment of death is the best moment because their whole life they've been practicing Krishna consciousness, and therefore at the moment of death they're going to see Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. But for the materialistic person, death is the worst moment of life because they are not Krishna conscious. So instead of seeing Krishna, they see Yamaraj. And they get frightened, and Yamaraj says, okay, you come with me, and I'm going to show you all the sins that you have committed. And there's a long period of suffering for all those sins, you see. So the devotee is not afraid of death. The devotee is not afraid of dying because the devotee knows that he has not been engaged in any sinful activities. Therefore, death is the best moment because that's when he's going to see Krishna face to face. You see how diametrically different these 2 points of view are. The materialist thinks that death is the worst moment of life. The devotee thinks that death is the best moment of life. Why? Well, for the devotee, he's been practicing Krishna consciousness in his whole life. Therefore, he knows that he'll see Krishna at the moment of death. In fact, he's seeing Krishna all the time by coming to the temple and worshiping the deity, right? So for him, it's not a frightening thing to get old, sick, and die. Right? But for the materialist, death is the worst thing because it's the end of their sense gratification and it's the beginning of all their sinful activities that are going to be counted by Yamaraj, and they're going to suffer terribly for all those sinful activities. Right? So here we have 2 different realities. One is the devotee who is always chanting Hare Krishna and has complete faith in Krishna, and who is chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, following the rules and regulations of spiritual life, and has complete faith that at the moment of death, he will see Krishna and go back to Godhead. And then you have the materialist who thinks that, well, when you die, That's it. There's no more life, right? And that is actually false. Why? Because you have an eternal soul. You're never going to die. The only thing that dies is the body, and you'll get another body according to the karma that you have created during your life. So, if one has a very bad history of karma, meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, cheating, lying, and so forth, you'll end up a cockroach in your next life, and you have to go through all the different stages to come back to the human form of life, and in which you'll have another chance to free yourself and go back to Godhead. So you see, the materialistic people and the difference between a materialistic person and a devotee. And devotee is not afraid of death. If he's been following the rules and regulations of devotional service, he's not afraid of death because, in fact, it's the best moment of his life, death, because that's when he'll see Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. But for the materialist, it's the worst moment of life because they think that they will die. And then if they have any, let's say, if there's anything after death, that's frightening for them because they're going to suffer. If there is a Yamaraj, then they're going to suffer terribly for all the sins they committed. So you see, it's much better to be a devotee, giving up all sinful activities, engaging in devotional service to Krishna, following the rules and regulations, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Then the devotee has no fear. The devotee knows exactly what's going to happen to him or her. He's going to see Krishna at the moment of death and go back to the spiritual world. In fact, we're seeing Krishna all the time. You come to the temple, you're seeing Krishna, right? He's seeing Krishna also by chanting Hare Krishna. So the devotee has no fear of death. The materialist has tremendous fear of death because he has no faith in God. He has no relationship with God. And therefore, he doesn't know what's going to happen to him, right? And he's thinking all these crazy things like, well, by 2050, death will be optional. That's complete nonsense. Death is never going to be optional. But, you have these crazy scientists that say, oh, well, we're getting closer to solving the riddle of death. No, you're not getting closer at all. You'll be dead way before your 2050 arrives. And when it does arrive, you'll still be subject to death, right? So we have to be very, let's say, realistic. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the controller of everything. Therefore, we should put our faith in Krishna. Now, don't put your faith in Darwin or other scientists. They don't really know what's going to happen to them in the future. But if you put your faith in Krishna, then you know what's going to happen to you in the future if you're following Krishna's instructions. You're going to go back to the spiritual world. Okay, so anyway, are there any other questions or comments?
This person, Guru Maharaj,
Yeah.
I've been trying to pull him to temple for 6 months.
So his father died, right?
Yeah, recently.
And now he's angry at God?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that family has been worshipping the Sai Baba.
Okay.
That their object of
So
worship.
why he should not be angry at Krishna or God. They should get angry at Sai Baba.
Yeah, he's angry at God. I've been trying to pull him for 6 months. I can see my messages for 6 months. Been asking to come for seva, join me for seva.
Yeah.
Help you.
Yeah.
Very saddening.
You see, the problem is people are not educated properly, whether it's India or in the United States. They're not educated properly. They are, therefore, someone who's educated properly knows that death is inevitable, but they also know that life is eternal for a devotee. Right? But everyone, life is eternal for everyone. But one will stay either eternally in the material world of suffering, or one will go back to the spiritual world of eternity for eternal life. So you have those two choices. You're never going to die. You simply, either you're going to stay in the material world, life after life, and changing bodies, and there's no guarantee you'll get a human body the next time you're born again. And therefore, but the devotee, because is following the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, and especially chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Do you have a question? Oh. Okay. Okay, they were waiting for me to stop talking nonsense, and that's all right. All right, let them come. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. How long have you been married? 25 years. Silver anniversary. 25 more years, that's the golden anniversary. Okay, so let's